Hello Dino Peeps, just as I posted a video about ARK 2 and the lack of news and information about the state of the game, but also pointing out that there were some layoffs in the ARK 2 team, we got some news, not from Wildcard but from our evil overlords at SNAIL Games, as they had an investor call a few days ago. Yes, we should take everything SNAIL says with a grain of salt, as they try to please their investors and not in particular talk honestly about what's happening. But while they usually overpromise, we now got a bit different news about ARK 2, and it somehow aligns with what I was thinking is happening, but maybe not for the same reasons. ARK Survival Ascended in Unreal Engine 5 is especially one thing: taxing on everyone's systems. Not a surprise, cause Unreal Engine 5 is new, many features are still experimental. The COVID and crypto crisis made it almost impossible for people to get affordable hardware in the past 4 years. It just now calmed down a little bit. So you have the issue that people are still running their old computers, their old hardware, and they're now supposed to run a game on an engine that is basically rather looking into the future instead of the present or the past. My game runs rather meh on my 3070, which is just one generation behind the top series. My hardware does not have any issues with game performance, other than in ASA. And while ASA player numbers are low stable for a few weeks now, ARK Survival Evolved numbers have been slowly climbing back up. People are going back to the old ARK because of two reasons. First, they have more content available, and second, they can actually run the game with more than 5 or 10 FPS. And that is, unsurprisingly, a big deal for people. So in this investor call, the problem was actually talked about. I do not have access to the call recording itself, but that's fine because others had, and so we go by the generous reporting of Nettie, who was listening along. There are two things that have to be considered here. First, that ASA was the game that was supposed to funnel money into the development of ARK 2, and second, the low adoption rate of ASA due to people not being able to actually run the game. Right now, ASA needs to actually finance its own development in the first place before ARK 2 is even a topic. Peter Kang from SNAIL Games said that the mass market needs to accept Unreal Engine 5, but let's be honest, the consumer doesn't care what engine the game runs on as long as it does run. It's not so much about the acceptance here, it's about building something in a future technology without actually being in the future. The people that will actually be able to run your game need to have the funds to have the hardware to run your game. But if they have the funds to do so, they're most likely also very picky about the games they do play. And in the current state ASA is in right now, it wouldn't win the choice awards of a picky player. So what to do? The first step is to try to make the game more backwards compatible with older hardware. And that's for sure a good plan and a good step. Much will come with a 4.5 update, but as mentioned in one of the last crunches, it might not be with Aberration, and people with close contact to the QA team also mentioned that 5.4 won't be finished to the launch of Aberration. Take this one with a grain of salt though, because it's not coming from the dev team but from an outside source. Moving away from Nvidia's AI solution and using AMD's FSR 3.1 should work with more hardware, according to Jeremy Stieglitz, and giving you on average double the frame rate perceived on the hardware of the last 5 years. Perceived means that you don't really get the double frame rate, but the AI solution will create frames in between that makes it feel like you have more. The image quality might be lower, but as it is a solution for older hardware, it is still a better compromise than playing on 10 FPS. And this is where ARK needs to start winning players again, and then see how the acceptance of old players will be and if it can also attract new players. With so many games being out that fall into the same niche and genre with ARK, it will be hard for sure, and why we probably can't expect any ARK 2 news this year at least. I hope that the newly announced longer development time between maps from 1 or 2 months to actually 3 months, and also the announced plan to hire more people for the development takes away some of the strain of the developers' backs, as there has been some crazy crunching since the ASA release. But if that is actually happening, we will see. I myself at least hope so for the devs. And that's all we know so far. If you haven't seen my previous ARK 2 video yet, you can do this here now. Thank you for watching!